Hey everyone. Morning. Good
morning.
Morning, somebody.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good morning.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. And you?
Doing fantastic. Thank you.
Good.
Feeling better?
I'm feeling, 100%, except for my voice. Yeah. I don't stay sick long.
Takes time.
Yeah. How are you doing, though?
Good. It's a holiday in Israel.
Oh, yeah?
Working all day, but it's quieter.
Yeah. I have a good friend.
What holiday is that, Dovey?
Passover.
Yeah.
It's 7 days.
Yeah. My friend Reese lives in Israel. I get to talk to her in between holidays is the running joke. So she's a mother of 4. So she's like, you can imagine, right? She's very, very busy all the time. So her husband's a rabbi. So.
Oh my gosh. That would
Yeah.
probably make her busy.
Yeah. How's it going? We see Elaine here, Judy here. Looks like Scott's here. Tim, morning.
Good morning.
How you guys doing?
Good morning. I'm not on video because I'm making my daughter's breakfast.
Kids, fair enough. I don't think I'm gonna have to blow my nose occasionally, so I'll turn off my video while I do that. But other than that, things are going great. So Scott, you joined us this morning. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. So yeah, what'd you guys think of my fiery message? Hopefully I'm gonna see if it worked. How many people we have on this call? We only have 7, and we normally have double that.
I thought it was a good message.
I guess I missed it. Where was it?
Oh, yeah, I just laid in everybody, man. I was like, what the fuck is your problem? You pay me money and then you don't do the work? Don't do that. Of course, I was halfway being tongue in cheek, but I was being serious at the same time. And yeah, about this time in any sort of class I go through, I always go, okay, if anyone's not going to play, you guys got to leave the club. So I totally expected to go from 30 to 12. So.
Is that normal numbers, John?
Yep, that's normal numbers. Yep. And I say this with, okay, they're out of those, they're not literally like 12. I mean, I'm sure everyone will not quit the course or anything, but they know what's expected. And I'd rather someone know that, I truly do care about your success. And I'm willing to swear at you and grab you by the shirt collar, metaphorically speaking, of course. Say, hey, come on, let's go. What's going on? Or give you tons of encouragement, which I've done that as well. So I think if you err on one side, you don't get the best results. Like if you're always using a carrot and never the stick, so to say. But always temper that message. By the way, that's an interesting message to read. If you guys ever want to like read that message on Facebook and see what I was doing, because I was lacing positive things with a ton of like, hey, and some people probably freaked out about it. A lot of people loved it. Some people probably freaked out about it. And
So did you post that in the Facebook group?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great.
Well, it's interesting, Tim. The thing is, I got a PM from he is my good friend Jonathan Kronstadt, who did pay for the course. He wasn't comped. No one's comped in here except for the only guy that was comped was Big Jason, because he helped sell it. But so he was made some money for it. But yeah, he paid for the course and has yet to show up. And so he texted me like 30 minutes later. He goes, "Stop yelling at me on Facebook." I go, "Yeah, you're all he's doing is running a company called Kajabi. I mean, how busy can you possibly be, right?" But yeah, there are reasons for it, and I'm not yelling at him. I'm not really yelling at anyone, but I just want everyone to step up and actually get ready for the big finale here, and know that there's a lot of stuff, what I'm going to give you in the last week is slightly different than what's on the syllabus. It's a little bit different. And it's a big project, and it's going to put all these pieces together, and Elaine's going to get a roadmap. And literally. So about as roadmappy as you can get. In fact, it's going to be even more interesting than that. You're the one going to be drawing the map. You're going to tell me where the streets are. Yeah. Just FYI,
Yes.
that's going to be an exercise I think that's the best exercise I've ever given anyone. But I can't give it to you until you learn all these different sections and parts and stuff. So, yeah, it's like a lot of people, they dissect, they'll dissect various sales letters, but they're not really knowing what they're doing per se. They're just going through and they're reading them, or they're writing them out by hand or whatever, and they're not really saying, they don't know if what's going on in this, that they can circle something. I could say, oh, this is a pain point. Oh, these are bullets. But I'm wanting you guys to not only create it because it's going to be your own, but know which part is which, by name, so that you can start spotting this stuff by name. So there's no, there's no getting around it.
Yeah, well, it's been a pretty intense last few months in terms of all this for the copywriting, and I just kind of dumped a whole bunch of mentoring type programs into my life. So it kind of kept me busy, and I had other things that I had to get accomplished as well, like taxes.
There's nothing more important. Come on, children. I've heard every excuse. I gave birth. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. So obviously the things do come up. We had a guy in in one of our pre-copywriter Copy Pro Academy guys. His dog died. And since you hear me talk about dogs a lot, because I love dogs, and so I use dogs in copy all the time because I like dogs and I like to talk about dogs. So there's no way I'm going to yell at this guy, because I know what that feels like. It totally freaking sucks. And so someone say something. I'm trying to unpin videos and it ain't working. So I got the unpin video going on. Okay, there it goes. It works now. So someone talk. Anyone?
Unpin videos in Zoom.
Yeah, I just got it to work. Scott, can you say something?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Something interesting that I've been seeing a lot is something experts call in a lot of ads and a lot of copy.
Can you say that again, Scott? You broke up a little bit.
I'm sorry about that. I said that something that I've been seeing a lot is the something that experts call formula in a lot of copy lately.
Yeah. You start. I got a message from Brennan yesterday. It was a really nice message. Like, hey, I'm just working on this project, and how grateful he's been for the class, but how people and Derek mentioned this as well. You're starting to see these patterns. You're starting to see the matrix behind what's going on here, even in your own writing. And you won't use all this stuff all the time. I mean, I don't. No one does. I mean, I was reading we're going to go over some letters today because I've gotten a lot of feedback from you guys various times saying, love it when you dissect letters and, go through that stuff. We don't always have to go, like, for example, there's no point in going through the primary solution because it's so obvious, I'm going to go over primary solutions today that aren't so obvious, that are not like the trademark. That's like, we're going to the black belt level of stuff when you're going to the trademark thing, right? Because that's the highest level of a primary solution. Your primary solution could also be, as in this letter, is going to be a chemical. It's black cayenne pepper. Okay. So you wouldn't want to say it's something I call black cayenne pepper, right? That would be like the weirdest sentence ever. But you do want to see how different solutions are used. And when you don't have one, we're going to talk about what do you do when you don't have one? What do you do when you're selling a phone battery or something? Well, actually, a phone battery is a bad example because there could be some lithium thing, going on or whatever. But so here's what's interesting is you can even see this inside. What's the I can't remember this. It might be a testimony to it's being a bad primary solution, but it's not, just because I don't follow tech stuff. But remember Intel, and it was powered by some chip, right? Those old Intel commercials. And it wasn't, so there was the brand, there was a chip, and it was powered by something, right? That's the same thing. So powered by X is another way of saying primary solution. So that's kind of an intriguing way of going about it. So I see Francis, hey, what's up?
Hello, my friend.
Hey, glad to have you.
Good to be here.
Awesome, man. We were just talking about how we're trying to kick everybody's ass and get them to come on, get them to come on and participate and join in on the fun. So
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have the option.
glad you're here. Glad you're here. So wondering if anyone on my team is here. I think Leanne said she's going to be late. So I don't see
How's her husband doing?
Slow road, but better. So yeah, that's all I am privy to say and know. So yeah, there's I think I see Derek. Is that you?
Yep.
All right, the man with the background. There he is. Got Chris is on here. It's kind of interesting. You guys are coming on like at our normal like 8:15 time. I'm wondering if you're getting the messages for the 8 o'clock time. Because we've been having some serious message issues. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, some of you guys aren't getting notifications from me inside Copywriter Blueprint. So
Yeah,
so Judy, didn't you say like what message are you talking about? All right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've actually had to go and poll the Facebook group to give messages because Facebook isn't showing them up. And
Yeah.
I run Facebook. I don't use Facebook using the news feed. That to me is just so foreign. So ads people put in news feeds are lost to me. I just use my notifications.
Yeah. I don't. I don't even know what to say about that. When you're in a private group and the guy who started the group PMs, messages the group, that should pop up for everyone regardless of anything. I mean, I would think.
And I think I have the messages selected to show, notify me on all, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that you can always do in terms of a group. If you're not getting messages, is to say, hey, notify me of all messages. But even still, Facebook flakes out.
Yeah, I feel like this whole thing is going to drift into some sort of Orwellian kind of situation where social media is going to start controlling and throttling who we talk to based on what their particular values might be. No, I'm not talking about because obviously I'm not starting some sort of a hate group or whatever, but I mean, yeah, I get that. Like, oh yeah, join this network dedicated to blowing things up or something. But yeah, I mean, come on, when you're talking nothing.
Well, no, I mean, I just watched found and watched this really interesting TED Talk that came out this month about Brexit and Facebook, and it's pretty scary actually, because she's talking about how, basically Facebook has allowed, all the protections that we have within our, election process to be broken because, it's transnational stuff that's going on.
Yeah, it is kind of a crazy. I really do see, not to get into a wholly dark subject, but yeah, it being a little bit of a darker time in. Hopefully, we will look back on this time in American history and go, Jesus, I think that people didn't get the memo that 1984 was not a playbook.
Yeah.
It was written as a cautionary tale. So yeah, it's down to word speak, like us. I don't know how many of you guys have read Orwell or seen 1984 with the
Yeah.
movie. Wasn't as good as the book, obviously, but yeah, so when you're remember the line out of the book where it's like, oh, the pleasure of deleting words from the dictionary, there was a pleasure that they had of removing words that they found offensive. And of course, the words became less and less offensive to the normal person as time went by. So you can see this going on right now, and in front of our eyes in like Europe. You can see like the wholesale censoring of words, people being arrested for tweets or liking a tweet. It's so that's going that is crazy. I guarantee if Orwell was alive, he'd be freaking out, man. Like, hey, I wasn't trying to be a prophet here, So, but that being said, I mean, obviously this doesn't apply to us. It shouldn't, at least, because I don't think I'm not saying anything. I'm not secretly running a some sort of a white supremacist camp or something in my spare bedroom. Yeah. But I think I really do think that in this, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. This is complete conjecture. I have no evidence of this. Well, I mean, there's some evidence of it from some people that have tried some stuff. But how many of you believe that that the phone, that the devices that we have are listening in on conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they
Well, I can
definitely
say they
are.
Okay, so it's always nice to be wrestling with a moral dilemma this early in the morning. But it's like everybody, yeah, absolutely. Well,
And
okay, so I've
John,
tested this. Go ahead.
Facebook has denied it. Like they've been confronted up front, like in live interviews about them, because there's a lot of cases, right? Like you call your wife and, hey, baby, bring some diapers to the house, and then you get all the remarketing on diapers, like every single place.
Yeah.
That's happened to me. It's happened so much that they've been confronted and they like strongly deny it.
There's some stuff that I have said in conversation that I have never like spoken about, but never Googled, never anything. It was just a random comment, but it was a comment that we made a lot. I like, and happens a lot in copywriting. I'll use an analogy. I'll come up with some analogy. I'll go, I don't know. Let's call it the state of, let's talk about North Dakota. Like I think I've said North Dakota 4 times in my entire life, right? And so I'll say something like that, and I'll see an ad with something. Now this could be the reticular activating device of the brain, but I'll see an ad that's like visiting North Dakota. I mean, that's kind of weird. Okay, so I'm open to the possibility of it. I'm an evidence-driven guy, but my point is, if that's the case, then they're trying to get certain ideas and stuff off of there. What if you're talking about really controversial ideas with your friends because you're like me, part of a philosophy group, or you're talking by nature, you talk about controversial ideas. By nature, you defend and you go pro and con. You go back and forth in traditional debate. You take both sides of an issue, right? I do that all the time with my friends, and it's like, so we'll talk about both sides of everything you think of: abortion, religion. You go down the line. I mean, and it's fun to do that if you're a trained debater. It's kind of interesting to hear how somebody else would syllogistically think through something. But if your conversations are being listened in on, and they're hearing you, like, how many of you guys, anyone go to have debate in high school or college, or anyone participate in?
Yes, I did.
I was on the team.
Okay, then you know what
I
I'm
was
talking.
a double diamond NFL speaker.
Yeah. So you remember like what it was like to have to defend a position that you personally found abhorrent?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was part of the exercise, and I remember so many parents were freaked out. Because I grew up in conservative Texas, right? They were freaked out by somebody having to defend atheism or to defend Hitler or something terrible like that, like defend Nazi Germany. They would pick, well, not in high school, but in college, they would pick really terrible topics. Well, there's not much defense you can have for that, and you have to dig deep and think of like some ridiculously stupid, but you have to form a coherent argument, right? Mm-hmm. And now it's gotten a lot less. We had this one guy that was like really intensely, every controversial thing you could think of, things that you would never in a million years defend. You go, well, how do I defend genocide? What the hell? I mean, how do I make an argument for this, right? But it was just, basically people would just say, I can't do it, or, I refuse, or I pass, or whatever. But some people would try it, and just to hear how they would think through it. I just, you can't do that, I would think today, which is a shame, because I mean, it teaches you how to think, right? Because no one in that class, no one in my friend circle was supporting genocide or something. It's like, that's just an insane thing to say. But now I just kind of wonder what would happen if we had cell phones back then. People were recording these conversations, and it's like, hey, listen to this conversation that you had, and taken totally out of context, where you're like, you're defending some ridiculous precept of people should be allowed to jump off of buildings when they're working conditions, or it's all egalitarian. I mean, like, I'm defending some weird thing like that. Now watch what happens after our call. I'm going to get an ad on Facebook. It's like, are you stressed out at work? Considering suicide? Call the suicide hotline. But hey, if I get that ad, I'm going to post it all over. Because I have never called the suicide hotline. So
hey, John, I have a quick question for you.
Okay, go shoot. Yeah, please. We're talking about weird shit.
Hey, I just had a big event. That's why I wasn't able. I was traveling. I went to Guadalajara, city in Mexico, and we had an event for 2,000 people. And it's a 3-day event where I do a pitch on day 2 of joining our mentoring, a 1-year mentoring program. And I do the, how do you call it in English? This is the price stacking, right? Mm-hmm. Where you go like, hey, this is a mentoring, and you get intensive number 1, read this value, intensive number 2, this value, intensive number 3, this value, and then you stack it up. and then you actually show them the real price afterwards, right? So I've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years, and I've never like gotten any heat for that. But I received a message from a girl that I think she's more like a hater more than anything. But 2 days after the event, it was a success. We did really well. I get a message of a girl like, "Hey, great event. I do want to join your mentoring program, but I don't have the money. So I suggest that we do an exchange, and I give you my legal advice because you're breaking several laws by doing that stack, right? Like doing that." And I had never gotten that feedback, and I wanted kind of like to ask you about it. I don't think there's anything illegal about it, or what in copy and in this like general practices that we see of the value stacking and all of that. What are the things that you've seen that are illegal and that are legal, at least in the US, and that can give me a reference for other countries?
Yeah, so about to say Mexico laws may be completely different than the United States law. So illegal, that's an extremely curt term to explain what's going on here. When you value stack something, you can't say, for example, I'm going to give you this if you're doing this on a public selling platform like Google, and you're saying, hey, I'm going to give you this CD set that we sell for $10,000 for $10 today. You can't legally say that unless you've sold it for $10,000. You can't legally say something that's related to, as far as I know, if there are any attorneys on here jump in, as far as an ingestible goes or anything that could cause physical harm. You can't make specific claims, like you can't even make value claims about certain things like about that. Okay. But shy of that, I can say to the cows come home, if I put a retail price on this, it'd be $900 or whatever, as long as the retail price is justifiable. And even then, the worst thing that could possibly happen is, in the States at least, is the FTC could see the ad and say, we think you're making exaggeratory claims, which is not illegal. I mean, so it's not, no one's going to come arrest you for that. Now, if anyone knows a better answer to that, let me know, because I'm just curious, just curious if I'm way off base here. But as far as I know, that's, at least in the States, not illegal.
She could have been using it as an angle to get in there and say, you really need my program.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like that.
The cynical approach. I like that, Scott.
It definitely sounds like that. My reaction was actually to be scared, and I actually didn't even reply, and I just blocked her, so it didn't work. But when it comes to the value stack, what I usually do is either stack it against the price to what I've sold that program or that module before. Like usually we do B2B business, and that's a higher ticket than when we do B2C. So I'll compare it to the price, or I'll either compare it to what other people out there is selling it for, right? So I compare it to, hey, I know people in the market sell this just for that price, like this single part for a huge price. But I guess that would be okay, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not saying anything wrong with the original. I mean, again, unless you're saying, there's just, I don't have any. I don't know why anyone would think that value stacking was illegal. Yeah. Does anyone have any legal specific advice on that? I don't know if we have any attorney. You know who would know this? The answer is Liana. Liana's an attorney. She's just not on the call. I mean, well, I say she would know more than we would, because she's actually an attorney. So basically I got an attorney working for me that's doing Facebook ads. So kind of nice. But quite logical. But
thank you, guys.
Chris, some people are just going to look for reasons to be offended.
Oh yeah, and they suck. But I was doing the numbers, because this month we got a couple of like customer service issues, and there were like 5 customer service issues. But then I did the numbers, and in the last 30 days we got 700 clients. So I was like, hey, fuck that! It's less than 1%. I'm not even gonna get worried, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, so
get hurt easily.
You know what, Gary Halbert and guys like him, they used to, and Dan Kennedy, wasn't Halbert, it was Dan Kennedy, says that if you're not getting at least 50% refunds or 30% refunds, you're not selling hard enough. And I'm like, what? It's so, I mean, if you're getting 30% refunds, you're getting 30% of people complaining about something, or you're getting some people buying something for, ill-gotten reasons. But, I don't subscribe to that. I don't have 30% refunds, but I'm just saying that I get the point that you can sell harder. And when you do, you're going to have haters. You're going to have people that don't again, it's like the bottom line is, and I think we covered this in week 1 or week 2 about the whole selling is ethical conversation we've had. If you believe what you're doing is ethically superior to selling hard, because you have to make a case for selling hard being unethical to begin with. So I don't hear a case for that. I hear a case for selling period being unethical if what you're selling is crap. Now, crap is completely subjective in some cases. In other cases, it's not. If you're selling, here's a pill that cures cancer that has 0 research behind it, that's crap, and you shouldn't sell it for any reasons at all. If you're selling something that says, hey, the evidence points to X, Y, Z, here's the evidence, and it's some health thing, even that's frowned on by the FDA, FTC in the States. You can't make specific claims.
And I remember when I first went to Traffic and Conversion Summit in San Diego in 2014, Perry Belcher had just been like out of jail for something. And this is just like me remembering this scenario, but do you remember why was that? I think it had something related to do with coffee.
No, you're going to laugh when I tell you. I know Perry pretty well. We go way back. I remember when Ryan and I we started a company together in 2010, I think it was. This is way before, way before any of the big success. He had Idea Incubator, but this is before Digital Marketer and all that stuff. And we started a fitness company called Ikera, and we were going to go basically take over the whole fitness world. And we just had a couple of people too many on our team to make that happen. So I thought, Ryan and I combined, that's pretty potent combination, right? But anyway, way too busy on both of our sides to make it work. That was another reason. But so I got to know Perry during that time and had lunch with him one day. I go, so what the hell happened, man? I know that you actually went to jail. You actually, got arrested and all that stuff. And what it came down to was he put a medical logo on his supplement site. I forget what they call it. It's
like the FDA approved.
It's the snake around the cross thing. What is that? What is that emblematic thing called?
I think it's the FDA, right? Or something.
Trivia. Well, he had no idea. He didn't know it was done. So the travesty of that was he's like, it boiled down to that it made the person think that they were buying something that was for treating a disease. And they read through the no claims on the site where they weren't making any of those kind of crazy claims. That's what it came down to. But more than that, he told the whole backstory. He goes, I'm this Southern boy living in the city, it was in Nashville at the time. And I'm basically driving multiple Lambos in his driveway and really ostentatious lifestyle. And he was just a big middle finger to the local police. And so they would come around his house and say, boy, we don't take too kindly to your parts around here. Your parts around here. You get that. They would really do this. They would go there. You need to kind of kick us back some of this money. And it was a really dirty cop system. So that was the other reason he got busted. Pretty nasty stuff. A lot more than that I had not privy to say. But let's put it this way: it wasn't straight up at all. He was a made example of because of a good old boy network in Nashville. That's the long and short of it. But the one thing he did take away from it, and it was like, man, you got to be cautious of the symbols that you put on it. And now every time I consult with a client, I see that medical symbol or anything that looks a doctor. Yeah, take it off. Unless you have it like I do. Like I work with a doctor for our supplement. That's different. He's co-owner of the supplement. So, but yeah, it's risky.
I have something to add to this conversation, Chris, if you want to hear. I can't talk about legalities because I'm not a lawyer, but I could tell you how Facebook sees those claims. Basically, you can say things like valued at, but you can't say it in terms of something that you sell it at. So you cannot talk about a discount. You can say, I'm selling, I'm giving this to you and it's valued at $300, but you cannot say, 80% off, 90% off if you don't actually sell it for that price.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks.
Yeah. And generally speaking, Facebook will start to see, unless you can really show them that you have a history of selling something at a certain price, or maybe it's on your main site at a certain price and in your direct response offers it's at a different price. if not for that, you can still kind of give gratuitous discounts on your ads and in your landing pages, but it can't be more than 50% off.
Interesting, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great stuff, Doug. Thank you. Yeah, that's what we usually say, you know, that we value X at this. So therefore, yeah, and we make the value stack like that. But yeah, so you're saving 85% today off the retail value is a different thing than saying what, and the other thing I've always said is sell your bonuses. I mean, go back to Accelerator videos, sell your bonuses, not just because it's a smart idea. I mean, if you're saying, hey, I'm giving this bonus is $97, you can sell it. You can say, hey, it's on this, have it on the sales page, have it on your you know, checkout. You have like a little store and sell it. And then you can just, you know, say, hey, I'm selling this, it's $97 on the store, discount today to 47 in case you didn't buy the original product, right? So you can sell that. If you didn't buy the original product, they can buy it. And also no one can come back and say, hey, you know, you're just making this stuff up. So if there's any concern, I mean, we sold a 28-day product creation formula. We sold BSL fat. I mean, we sold all those things. And so when I say I'm giving it away for free, I really am. So.
John, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because we do health related courses and seminars, we get a ton of requests from people saying, I can't afford this, or, you know, I live in India and I'm suffering. And I'm just curious how other people deal with those, and if they have like scholarship kind of things they set aside, or they take so many free, or just kind of wondering if there's an industry standard for that.
That's a great question. Yeah, you know, I can tell you how I deal with it and how I've taught my customer service guys to deal with it. Is basically we ask for, you have to use a little bit of intuition. I mean, because people will deceive. They will make up stories.
There are scammers, yeah.
Scammers, right? And so, so I basically have said, if you intuit, certainly intuition is not the even remotely the best way to know. That's not a good epistemological stance, as my intuition states. Okay, I will wholeheartedly concur there. But sometimes you're just going to go with your gut, so to say. And if you feel like this is the case, and I've got a good friend of mine who became a good friend of mine through that exact mechanism, but the way that they say it is slightly different. Like there's an entitlement sense to some of the people, unless they're really good scammers, that you can pick up on in the language. Now, customer service isn't going to be able to see entitlement language, but you might be able to. So they can forward it to you, and you could spot to see if there's any sort of like, you know, any sort of entitlement language going on. At that point, the answer, the conversation's over. And I'll give you a perfect example. We had, God, I don't know how many people. If Leanne was on here, she could answer the question. But we had a lot of people say, and guess what? You know, back to Facebook being the answer, being the cause for this problem. We had a lot of people that in this group that didn't know I was holding a copywriter telethon. And we emailed my list 4, 5, 6 times. I posted on Facebook at least 3 or 4 times, if not more than that. We emailed 4 times on the day of the event. And on top of all that, everyone that came on the call let their people know. On top of all of that, I had, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 people like say, hey, I never heard about this telethon until today, and now it's closed. I want my bonuses. I want what, you know, come on. I want to get access to the call. I would have given $100, you know, but I just didn't know. And so I misunderstood the very first time Leanne brought that to me. I misunderstood. I thought that they gave, they didn't, I was hearing something different. I thought that they gave before the call, and because a lot of people gave a month ago, right? And they just didn't know the call was there. And I'm like, well, if they gave, for sure, send them the deal, right? Send them the recording. But then she explained it a little further yesterday. She goes, no, these people didn't give, and they're saying I would have given, and so therefore X. I'm like, it's really great that you would have given. Thanks so much. But the answer is no, because once again, it's coming from a place of entitlement. Now, a couple of people emailed in and said, hey, I gave right when this thing first opened, and I didn't see your message. And that's completely different, right? Or if there was an extreme circumstance, like hey, like there was one guy that was, you could tell by his writing, he really, really, really wanted to do this, but he just couldn't afford to help it. And anything you do to help. So I'll make exceptions. I will. So that's my best answer for this, Elaine. I'm sorry, there's not a better one. But the one time I will give you a little rah-rah story. I made an exception for Accelerator, which is a $2,000 product, that I knew a guy that had been on my list, and I asked my staff to follow up on it, had been on my list for years, had opened every email, was like super fan, right? And he bought one thing, and it was Accelerator, and he came back and he sent this apology letter for a refund. And the reason why was the personal reasons, which came, by the way, into fruition, unfortunately, personal reasons. And he was so apologetic. I was like, no, I insist that you keep this for free. So we'll give you your money back, but you got to keep doing this. And the only thing I ask is that if you ever have success with this, you pay it back. And this guy became like, oh my God, you're the coolest dude ever. And, and he actually had success with it. And he actually, if you seem to remember paying it back or something, but always on every single, call and stuff, and just raving about stuff, and just always leaving great reviews. And, I can't remember if he paid it back or not, but I know he ran on like one hard time after the other. And yeah. And so those things will always happen. I don't know if you guys can see this guitar behind me, right?
You don't have your video on.
What?
I'm not seeing you.
I've been talking to the dark all this time.
Yeah.
Missing my pretty face here. No, can you see my video back here? I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how because I probably want to bloom it is. Can you guys see that guitar?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, that guitar was a gift from that man.
Oh.
So he just out of the blue, when I moved to Santa Barbara, he goes, "I'm sending you a gift. Please accept it. Don't say no, because you've helped me out so much, and now I'm in a better place." And so rather than that is worth more. It's more expensive than Accelerator. But the point is that was because he knows I'm a musician and bass player, so he bought this handmade Godin guitar, right? So these things can occasionally pay off. Hopefully I'm not waxing too much about this, guys, but because we get it all the time. We get it all the time, and especially in the weight loss business, it's like, I just need your product. So let me give you the other answer that because I was really burdened with something. I have this thing coming out called the sciatica solution rather. And it's because I figured out how to cure sciatica. I had terrible sciatica. Sciatica is not an age related thing. Athletes get it because it's a lot of, it's a lot of explanation of why people get sciatica, but sciatica pain is terrible. So you get, it's just not, you can like feel crippled when you're 30 with this stuff. Well, I figured out like a series of moves combining a whole bunch of different techniques that made it, I don't have it at all anymore. So made it totally go away. So I'm going to create this, but I didn't want to sell it. At first I was like, I just want to create this and give it away. I'll build a huge list and I'll sell other stuff to that list, but because I'm still a business guy. But I just want to give this to as many people as I can. And it was Justin Burke that came in and said, don't do that. Do it as pay what you can. So he's playing around with this pay what you can model. And that gets rid of all of these issues. Like people can get it for as little as $1. Or, and you just make it really clear. Look, if you can afford to pay, here's the normal price. It's normally $67. You can get it for $1 if you really can't afford it. If you can't afford it, please at least pay what it's worth. And if you can pay more, then you'll make up for other things. And what he found out is that people were paying on average, like they were paying on average close to the value of the product, but many more people were accessing it. So
you gave me a good idea also to check their history. Have they read the books? Have they been on the emails? Have the, and instead of just like, have they put in the work a little bit already?
Yeah. I mean, so there's, I mean, we offer like a, excuse me, guys, a very strict no refund policy for anything that deals with my time, like consulting, this kind of stuff, Copy Pro Academy, there's just no refunds, period. And the reason why is because I'm showing up. If you guys don't show up, then it's, and we know it works. So it's just a matter of do you show up or not. So that also helps too, is if you can issue it, if you have a no refund policy, that solves a lot of problems. That being said, there's always going to be those outliers that have the they actually have a legitimate reason, and you have to weigh it. Like, my son has cancer or something horrible like that, and where you just have to feel into the situation and figure out if they're just saying that because, and that's so hard. I mean, because what if you know that they're just saying that because that it may be true, but it's irrelevant to the conversation, like the person's, independently wealthy or something, those are tough conversations. But if you, the pay what you can model is becoming more popular. So, so Scott says something that people may not believe the value of a digital product, so the complaint should be free. Yeah, I agree with you. Which is,
I agree. And when it's free, they don't value it as much, or they don't take it.
Ludicrous thing to say.
I think it goes a little bit further, that all these people put these insane values on it that aren't even real, that it's worth like $1,000 when it's really worth 100. So it kind of devalues a lot of
yeah. It's, I made my living in digital products. I mean, I sold like 2 physical, and like, really, it's like, I don't, like, if I buy a book, I don't go to a bookstore. I mean, I go to I just download a book, right? That's a digital product. And I'm like, the book gives me value because I'm reading it. It's just, I've never understood the logic there. Like, oh yeah, I mean, I get the logic from we don't have to pay overhead, and we don't have to pay for physical cost and all that stuff. But again, it's just it's a conversation about what are you trading, right? When all sales and all marketing is about exchange, what are you exchanging? And if it's value, then you can put a price on that value. I mean, if it's stuff, then you got a problem. If it's like, that's why you should never sell your product. You should always sell your benefits. You sell your product, you're going to fall right into that trap of, oh, well, hey, this product doesn't seem that worth. Well, how's the benefits? How's that worth? How much is that worth to you? I mean, that's when you hear closes, like we'll see, not this week, but next week, you'll see closes that are all about, like, what is it worth to you to, have your self-confidence back? What is it worth to you to know that you and your spouse will live the rest of your life together, or whatever the pitch is? How much value would you put on your child's health and education? Well, you're just getting to, it's an absurd point, right? But that's the idea. You're not selling the product, you're selling the benefit, you're selling the outcome. And you have to be, so back to, sorry, getting into this, guys, but so heavily rather, but you have to get back into, do you believe that your product or service is rendering that value? It's not going to render for everyone. So Ed, let's get the hashtag not all out of the way. Hashtag not all. In every conversation I will ever have, we'll just have to say hashtag not all, because nothing is universal, right? But for most people that go through the program, if you believe that it will deliver the value, except for outlying cases, then you should sell that for the value that you're delivering. And then you have to back it off, because if I was to sell health stuff for the value, that it'd be selling in the millions of dollars, right? But then you say, look, this is going to literally be worth, if I could prevent you from having heart disease, how much would you pay for that? If I could reverse heart disease, if I could. I'm not saying I can't, but I've done it for myself, but I can't say I can do it for everybody. So, but what is that worth to you? I mean, seriously. So if I'm asking $37 for a book, I mean, now everyone should be like just going, well, geez, that's really stupid. And that's what I want someone to think. I want them to think, and then you got to go on. You guys, about people that have issues with price. If the price is too low, it's a worse problem if the price is too high, because then they get buyer discrepancy. I forget the name of the term now.
Remorse? Buyer remorse?
No, not buyer remorse. There's a marketing term that I'm drawing a blank on at the moment.
Discongruence?
Value seems
price incongruence. Yeah. Cognitive dissonance too. Yeah, that's true. Cognitive dissonance. But if you see something that says, hey, I can make you $1 million if you just pay me $1, that immediately, all the red flags go up, right? I can make you $1 million if you join my $100,000 mastermind. It's like, it's starting to sound a little bit more realistic, right? That's a little bit closer to the truth. So cool. Let's get to other questions here.
Can I bring the conversation somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. Conversations.
Well, firstly, I have a question about an open loop you dropped that's just been bugging me since this thing started.
I'm sorry.
I guess it's a yes or no question, but then I have a real thing to ask. Did you really convince Tony Robbins to take up miming?
No, I never said that. I said you can be so persuasive. You can talk Tony Robbins and taking up mime. That
You
was
might have been talking about yourself.
yeah. It was one thing about myself. But I believe that I could talk him into doing it if you could put me into a room. I could talk him into doing it. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you
But
about.
I talk him into do it by doing something like I would appeal to his. I would know how to appeal to his greater goals, right? Like Tony, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna donate $1 million to your favorite charity if you'll do mine. Well, I mean, there you go. I'm talking.
It's funny.
That was just
So-
a clever thing to say. So
John, one of the things I was thinking of when you were talking about selling selling the bonuses is what I was talking to a client last night. I was saying, well, you have this thing, and she was selling it for something ridiculous and making these large income claims. I said, no, you got to back off the income claims. Is that, sell this first, raise the price, sell the thing itself, right? Really sell that, and then, talk about the bonuses. Once you've got them, because then, you're there. Once you've sold that thing, then they're like probably on a cliff. And so, well, I'm not sure. But when you put in the bonuses, then it just kind of like pushes them off the cliff.
right. Yeah, that's typical. You definitely, again, you're selling not the thing, you're selling what the thing delivers.
Right.
And as long as they know that the here is the world's only or the best or however you want to phrase it. Again, primary solutions come in really handy. Look, you now know that the cause of your problem is X, and the solution to X is Y. Y is absolutely the best solution to X. My product is totally built around Y. It's the only product in existence that talks about, so that's why it's so you can say these things now with a lot of confidence. So you're selling this, and this is what Y, X and Y will, X is negative, Y positive. This is what Y will give you. Y is found within the name of product. So, and then, they're sold on the benefits of the product. And then the bonuses are like, I want to help you do, and by the way, we're going to have a whole talk on bonuses because I see so many people doing bonuses terribly wrong. So we're going to talk about putting testimonials inside bonuses. We're going to be talking about which is such a great trick that we did. And when I say trick, again, I use the word trick a lot, and trick unfortunately has a negative connotation. Like I'm tricking somebody, like I'm doing something deceptive. A trick in my mind, when I say it, it's just a tip. Okay. So a trick that we used with Metabolic Sherpa is every bonus we list out for Metabolic Sherpa they would email their list out and go, hey, we're doing a survey. Which bonus did you like the best? Right. And was this Sherpa that did? I think it was Sherpa that did this, but and which bonus did they like the best? And they would list the 5 bonuses and they would rate them. And so just rate the bonuses on a scale of 1 to 5. Which one do you like the best? And tell us why. So, everyone loves to take these, right? And so they'd get 100 people, 200 people answering emails, and every bonus would have somebody that would like it the best. And then you could say, Tom from Akron, Ohio bought the entire course just for this bonus. He said this one bonus is blah, blah, blah. Do you see what we're doing here? I mean, it's just radical genius, man. I mean, it's like, I want to say that was Mark Stockman's idea, but I had the idea of doing testimonials and bonuses, and we actually have the ability to do that in CopyPro 2, not in CopyPro 1, but it's kind of cool to do that. There's by the way, bonuses, just FYI, huge tip here. If no doubt about it, bonuses help sell products, right? Your bonuses should never be competitive, ever. It's some of the dumbest bonuses are the super deluxe version of X, or, you'll also get, if you're selling a recipe book, you'll also get, these other recipes. What those work as upsells. Now here's what's really weird. How many of you guys know, excuse me. I mean, I'm trying to think how he sold this. It was a really famous promo. He sold like 19,000 books in a day. I cannot remember. I just drawing a blank on the offer though. Sorry. I'm drawing blanks this morning on a couple of things. But his upsell strategy was they're buying a book of recipes, right? That was the recipe book. Every single upsell after that was a recipe book. And he taught this technique at one of my masterminds. You could not believe that what I was hearing. So, and I'm sorry, it's like he's going to shoot me because he's a friend of mine. He gave me a surfboard. I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on his freaking name.
Paleo?
Yeah, huh? Bedros
Paleo?
Bedros Killian. So yeah, I remembered Bedros Killian. Yeah. So he's in the fitness space, and his wife had a cookbook, and I forget what they sold it for, but the next upsell was more recipes. The next upsell was more recipes. The next upsell, and they just kept going. They kept going. And he goes, every single one of those had like a 30% take rate. So his thought was this: just sell someone more of what they just bought. It's not competitive. It's just an adding on to what they just bought mentality. So that's interesting. But for bonuses, that doesn't work. It works for upsells, but not for bonuses. Go figure. So don't be competitive, and consider, like, if you're stuck for upsells, give them more of what they just bought. So obviously it can't be like just let's say that sorry, go ahead, Tim. Somebody tried to say something. So if you're selling like a recipe book on a keto recipe book, okay, you get 100 keto recipes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, blah blah blah. Your next upsell shouldn't be here's 100 more recipes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It should be 100 recipes for something else, but it's still keto recipes for desserts. And keto recipes for you could even do, like, I think they were doing things like breakfast only, or like breakfast for the kids kind of stuff, and just everything you could think of, and people were just stacking up on these things. So just a little tip there.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask what I was going to talk about before. I wonder about, we're talking about a lot of direct response, direct sales copy in this course, but right now I'm in the process of writing a new website copy. We're talking about boring stuff, homepage, our story section with like snippets this size. Wondering how you see writing that type of stuff. We're not really using all these tricks.
I see it as being remarkably ineffective. And it can be pretty really effective. You have to do it for face. I get it. You have to have a front facing page. We have it. It's just no one makes sales on Copy Pro from our Copy Pro website. You can drive people with every little part of those stories, the little sections, and it's Paris does this in his sales letter. In fact, I think Paris's sales letter, Leanne, if you could find that sales letter, that should be like up for on the block today to look at. Because he has a direct response, hard-hitting direct response sales letter for supplements. But you could take the same idea, because they're little chunks of copy, right? But he starts in the middle of a story. In every little chunk of copy has some intriguing little thing about it, right? So that's what I recommend people doing when they have to have a business front-facing page, is that you do the start in the middle of the story technique. You make every single thing a benefit-rich. It's still benefit-rich. It's still all about the consumer. So break it. If you look at how we did Copy Pro, the copypro.ai, it's that way. It's like, it's not starting in the middle of the story, but everything's really rich with benefits to what the consumer gets. And in every place on that sheet, you should have a place where they can go and watch your recent webinar, or watch something that takes them into more of a direct response sell. So unless you can't do that for some legal reasons, which I wouldn't know. But yeah, if you want to, we'll go through that sales letter. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, it's not a corporate sales letter. Let me just say that right up front. But you can see how you could use those little sentences. Like, what we're going to cover today, Dobby, is we're going to cover a chiasmus. So you know what a chiasmus is.
Talking about that.
Yeah. Okay. So I decided, well, today's the day we're going to cover it. I'm going to give you the most simple version of the chiasmus. It's much more complicated than that, which we don't have time to go into. But I'm going to give that to you today as a part of a bonus call, a bonus on the call. And a chiasmus would work great in those little bitty areas. So if you guys, I know you have to show up for the call to know what a chiasmus is, or Google it. A lot of Greek came from Grecian legends, and there was stuff in the Bible's written in chiasmus form, and it's how people would tell stories, and it's an interesting way of doing it. So you could do that in those little sections. Like turn that into, point one, counterpoint one, point two, counterpoint, and make it, really intriguing for people to read. It's the blah, blah copy that will never work, my man. I mean, people can be corporate, but blah, blah never works. Meaning our company was founded in 1947 to firmly support the values and ethics of our country. Oh God, man, shoot me now.
A strategy right now is to be really, really, really clear and short.
Clear and
Right,
short.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. So none of the blah blah, and it's because I look at a lot of businesses, when I'm trying to find partners or different things.
Mhm.
Sometimes I go to websites and I can't figure out what they do. In 3-4 minutes, I can't figure out what they do.
No. Yeah. I mean, how many of you guys have had that experience where you're on a website and I don't know what you sell? Like, I mean, it's like, I have no idea what you sell. Yes. So that's the blah, blah copy where you have no idea. And it's all about their values and like, who gives a shit about that. Right. So it's all about if we're here to help you do one thing. Bam. Okay. What is that one thing? Right. And we just spell this out. Every little paragraph, it's got to be about that. And a good test for that would be like, if you took a paragraph, a little section out and you read it by itself, would you know what the company does? So tying this, okay. It's also called tie downs in copy. When you start with an idea and you tie it down. So you say, that's why this is so important. That's a chiasmus technique. That's a chiasmus doesn't necessarily have to be counterpoint. As you'll see in a moment, it's point, counterpoint usually. It can be point, point. It could just mention the same thing. Like if I say, it's very important to do X, blah, 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 blah. That's why it's so important to do X. That's every one of those blocks should have that. Watch what the conversions will go up.
That's definitely an addition.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that has to talk about the company, like our story and whatever.
Sure, but your story can be, what if you dove in the middle of your story? Like it would dove in with a quote, like quote from if you're the boss, a quote from, your wife. Like, I can't believe this came in the mail today. Like,
yeah,
we can go over it like more in detail. If you want to, we can use some of a hot seat, today we got our hot seats taken, but on Monday, if you want to, we could hot seat that. And I could help you with those things. I'm here to help.
I've done hot seat already, but if other people want to hear it, then
hey, yeah, you've done hot seats already. But like I said in my Facebook post, if you guys don't show up, I'm giving them to other people. So it's who shows up. So we got a lot of people showing up. We got a lot of people working hard. I mean, so I want to say, guys, I know we got to jump on this call, but a lot of folks on here, I landed that really hard ass message, but that wasn't directed toward everyone on this call. It was directed to everyone who's not on this call, and some people who are not on this call, like I think of Brennan, I don't think is on the call, and a couple other guys are working their ass off, and that's great. And there are always going to be people that can't make it, but and there are people that start off strong, and I'm just trying to get people to come in to the fold here. That being said, don't complain if you don't get hot seated because you didn't show up or you didn't do the homework. So yeah, and if you want to do that, if you want to substitute one of your homeworks for that, do it. All right, guys.
I know we have to end, but I would love one of these early morning sessions around web copy.
Okay. Well, why don't we do that? Why don't we just plan on doing that on Monday?
Yeah, and if you have examples of websites that are good that we can look at and that kind of thing.
It's funny. I don't, but I'll ask Leanne to help me find some because I don't do that. I don't do web copy. You know what? We need to do it though. We do need to do it. So yes, why don't we we'll talk about that on Monday. So
all right, thanks.
All right, guys. I'll see you on the call. Thanks for joining us.